Assalamu alaikum. All right, we're going to get the technological difficulties together, and while we're doing that, I have the opportunity to introduce this brother. This brother is a very honorable person. He's got a lot of information, and he has some episodes in his life that some people would consider a movie, or they definitely make movies out of certain episodes of his life. He's got a lot to share. He's coming out of the Bay Area and also Los Angeles. So can you hear me, Ak? I can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
All right, yep, you there.
Am I upside down?
Nope, you're all good. You're all good. Yeah, so right now, can you just introduce yourself and tell the people where you are and what you're representing right now, like where you're at and what you're doing?
Well, my name is Akil Khalid. I'm in Hawaii right now, the land of Mu, trying to build up the Aloha Moorish Retreat Center. It's sitting on 3 acres in the fern forest. And
3 acres?
been developing that. 3 acres, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've just been trying to develop that the last 9 months, doing some construction and doing a lot of gardening and planting fruit trees.
That's beautiful, man. And I know you made some connections with the indigenous people out there. And can you describe what that vibe is like what the movement is like out there with the indigenous?
Well, the main movement was for Mauna Kea. It was to prevent a telescope to be built on sacred land. So I went up there. We had a few brothers. They camped out, part of the protest. We put the Moorish flag up along with the other flags of different nations that supported the movement. And less than a week after we put the Moorish flag up, the governor backed down and he rescinded the order.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if that was a coincidence or just, Allah's the best planners, but
exactly.
Now the protesters are gone, and right now the area is safe, inshallah.
Oh, well, that's a beautiful thing. Now, I don't want to jump too far ahead in the story, but I definitely want to touch on the point that we have a history, in particularly of dealing with indigenous people in the Americas beforehand, and which is dealing with the Chief Longwalker in Moab. But before we get into that, as I expressed to the people earlier in the introduction, you got a lot of story to tell, and I don't really want to waste any time with any intro. So can you just give us, kind of start us off with your background and your environment? And I know you as a spiritual leader, as an organizer, as a Moorish organizer and scholar. So can you give the people some background of where you're coming from and how you got started within this whole situation?
Right. Well, first things, I was born in Louisiana, like in the bayous, and my elders had always gave me information about my background. That we was Choctaw, and I even heard the word Moor growing up. But I didn't put it all together till I got older. And it was at Long Beach State where I shifted my life. I went into Long Beach State out of control, you know what I'm saying? But then I started taking some Black Studies classes, and, the first main figure I studied was Marcus Garvey. That led me to Malcolm X. And, by the grace of Allah, it changed my life once I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. Yeah, soon after that, I got involved with the BSU. I became the editor of the True Voice newspaper, which was a BSU newspaper in Long Beach. And we put out several copies. And during the course of doing all that, I ran into my 2 main teachers. my two elders. I ran into Sheikh Kareem Bey, who had come back on the campus. He was actually there before me, but he had to do a stint in the state pen. So he came back to finish his degree. So I met him, and he was, you know, my Moorish Islamic sheikh. And he put me down with, you know, information on Islam, on Moorish identity, nationality. And because he had a degree in history, you know, he was just phenomenal. He could break anything down to the tribal level, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that sparked my interest in the history, studying the history. So shortly after that, I ran into my second teacher, which was Chief Longwalker from the Dakota Nation. We had done a speaking engagement together on the Maroon history of North America. And he invited me and my family, really the whole Jamaat, up to the land they had, which was, you know, in Central California.
Right.
So I took up that invitation, and
can you break down a little bit of Chief Longwalker's history? Just a quick couple sentences of who he is.
Well, he gets his name from the longest walk. I believe it was in 70, I don't know the exact day, I think it was 78, 79, where the indigenous walked from like San Francisco all the way to DC. They call it the longest walk to protest the occupation. And he led that march along with Warrior Woman was involved and other elders. And that's how he received his name. But he's actually from Dakota. And I believe his great grandfather is the person we call Sitting Bull, but his actual name is Sitting Buffalo. You know, Wantanka, the Europeans put that bull in there to, you know, come with some bullshit, basically.
Right.
But that's his elder, you know what I'm saying? So
okay, yeah.
I learned.
You know that explains a lot, because he definitely got a lot of fire in him. You know, when that brother talks, you can't help but listen.
Right. So he's got a tremendous history, but the main thing was I got that training, that Maroon training on their land, and the spiritual training with the sweat lodge. You've been in the sweat lodge, so you know that's an initiation.
Yeah. And I want to add, he put us through a high level initiation. It wasn't just a cleansing. Sometimes you go through a sweat lodge ceremony and it's a cleansing. He put us through the warrior level, you know, and it was intense. It was intense. You know, I went through it twice. I went through it twice. The first time it was words can't even describe, right? The second time I got into an argument with my Zoji right before I went in. And then when I went in, the elementals inside that we had stirred up started kind of like, started getting at me because my energy wasn't right inside the womb of the Anipi, you know? And I learned a lot. I was like, wow, that's how I knew it was real. Because when my energy wasn't right, it burned me and it did all type of bad. I felt like I was getting haunted in there. You know, it's heavy, man. It's heavy. The earth energies are real, and you can tap into them in those situations, especially with a god like Long Walker. But go ahead, Mo, please. I just wanted to add that.
Right. Yeah. So it was that Maroon training that we got, you know, real raw. You know, if anybody knows, it's a reservation, it's sovereign land. They're totally off the grid. Without that training, I would not have been able to do the things I'm doing out here, because we off the grid out here. Right. You know, and you know, the whole movement really has to be focused on land. You know, there's a lot of philosophers and, you know, sovereigntists and everybody else out here hollering, but until you have land, you don't really have sovereignty. You know, it's just an idea.
It's an idea on paper.
So our motto is that we push dirt along with pushing paperwork. You feel me?
Right.
So if you ain't pushing dirt, you ain't really making no moves.
Right. That's real. That's real. So it takes time in order like, I guess, the there's civics, there's civics understanding of the system and things like that, and of law that took place within your studies and dealing with the sheikh and dealing with the chief.
Yeah, definitely. It was a beautiful combination, you know, because the sheikh is just a wealth of Islamic and Moorish information, you know, and
Right.
his experiences coming up in the inner city, dealing with the Black Panthers, dealing with the Crips, dealing with, you know, gang unification. We did a big thing in front of City Hall back in LA to unify the Crips and the Bloods.
Mm-hmm.
And that experience, the urban experience, and then I got the land experience, you know, which is really everything you learn. Can you apply it, you know, or you still philosophizing? So that's when, you know, they say you really get into grassroots, right?
The real
Because really,
grassroots.
what's a grass root? If you pick up a root from a grass, it's muddy, it's slimy.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's gonna get dirty.
yeah.
But that's the real connection with the earth, you know, and we're people of the earth. So
Exactly.
that was a beautiful combination that I was blessed to have.
Yeah, that's one of my philosophies, is that they took the concept of the creator and of God, and they put it in the sky and put it in a white robe and made it all white. And then, so if you worked with the earth, because we saw earth, mother nature, you know, we work with the earth. We're not scared to get dirty anymore. That's not dirty to us. It's just working with the earth. But then they came along with the pulp fiction. I call it pulp fiction, you know, and they put God in the clouds wearing white robe, all white. And if you're dirty, then you're not holy. You know what I mean? Like, they switched it. That's how they took the feminine, the acknowledgement of the feminine out of, you know, out of religion, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Put it up there, because when we were working with the earth, we saw the masculine and the feminine. You know, and we saw divine Mother Earth and divine Mother Nature, you know? So
yeah, that's important, especially now in the times that we are in, because really everything is going to come down to what's your immune system like? What's your environment like? Are you still living in filth? You know what I'm saying? Are you surrounded by diseases, viruses, and everything else, right?
Exactly.
They took us away from our power, which is the earth, which is all the herbs and remedies and the sunlight, the fresh air, the water. And they put us in these particular environments that they can manipulate easily. You can see this coming, right? Yeah. And why are the areas getting hit the hardest are the urban areas? Because they got everybody crowded in like rats. And then whatever they inject into that system spreads like wildfire. You see, so that's why my emphasis is that our people have to get back to the land.
To the land, to nature. Yeah, it's true. It's true, man. It's true. Just in the backyard that I have here, you know, the healing, you know, and the grounding that comes, and then actually acknowledging certain trees, you know, the banana tree or the mango tree, whatever, acknowledging certain trees, giving them some coffee grind and touching them and, you know, telling them I know they're there. They react. It's like the environment really does react to you, you know? It's amazing, man. And at night, it's so alive, I don't really go back there. It's not even animals that I'm thinking about. It's something else. You know, it's an energy back there, you know? So you know, and that is our power, because in this you know how concrete drain batteries? You know, remember you put the radio on the concrete and it would drain the battery. You know what I mean? And
they send their car batteries on there.
Right. So, all right. So you went from Long Beach State, and you got you know, you came to the Bay Area. You evolved. You ran into Long Walker, and we all got involved in that. But I know you spent a lot more time there. Also, I remember a situation where we were able to get a brother, instead of him going back to prison, we were able to convince, well, you were able to convince the judge to let him go to the sovereign land, to the reservation, instead of going to prison. And the judge wiggled around it for a while and said, all right, you know what, let's do it. And they turned him over to us to deliver him to the land instead of sending him to prison, which was Dejama, right? R.I.P.
Yeah.
So can you go into that a little bit? Like what happened there? What was that? Because I was watching and I didn't know what happened. And what happened?
I think that was Brother Hanif, wasn't it?
Oh, it was Hanif. Right.
Yeah, we went to court and we exercised some sovereignty science where we were trying to, take the brother from that system into our system,
right,
where he could really do a better rehab on whatever issues he was dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And we were successful there. And then Brother Hassan and I had run into another case too, where we were able to get 90 days in the so-called county jail put off into the land.
Mm.
So if you represent yourself correctly and you have, your paperwork, and the key was that we had our own land to take them to, then you have options, right?
Indeed.
You don't have to fall into this jurisdiction. If you have your own
constitution, bylaws, laws, right,
that tie you into the indigenous nations of this continent.
Exactly.
Then you have some play, Exactly. So we were blessed with that, and alhamdulillah, I think that the land helped out a lot of brothers and sisters from Northern California and Southern California, because we would have those conventions up there once a year, and bring the whole state together along with the other groups that Lawn Walker and Warrior Woman were working with, the Chicano group. There was even some Asian groups involved, alhamdulillah.
That would come up for the those were magical times. And this was a time in the Bay Area when we were based in the Bay Area, at least in Los Angeles. It was nothing like it is now, right? Like the Bay Area was a completely different place. So within the struggle of that, I know you made some choices, some revolutionary choices, and stood like a man and took your and took responsibility for what you did. Can you kind of walk us through that a little bit?
Well, it was during a particular time of my life, and all this training, what you gonna do with it, right? I had to activate myself for a minute, but I had a goal, which was to buy some land,
Right.
And basically that's how it turned out. I hit a few of their banking institutions and bought some land in Oakland, which we put the Moorish Cultural Center,
right. Right.
And
so when you say hit their banking institutions, I mean, you were liberating physical. You was robbing the banks.
Yeah, I mean everything's been adjudicated now, so I can talk about it. But I hit 4 of them, 3 in San Francisco, and got caught on the 4th one. They had a microchip in the money. I was about a mile from the bank, and there was a detective car just like the streets of San Francisco. They was bouncing up and down the hills. It's kind of ironic at this point because I was first put in the San Francisco system, and Kamala Harris was Attorney General.
Interesting.
She hit me with 9 felonies all at once. And but the next morning everything was dropped, and then I was turned over to the federal system, which turned out to be better for me because the federal system is easier to get through you know,
yeah,
and it had more leeway in court, you know.
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I
So
did time for that, and you know, they rolled me pretty tough on the probation, so I had to go back a couple of times.
right.
But eventually, I killed all that paper, and you know, I'm free now. You know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was all a test. It was a lot of learning experiences. You know, some of the heaviest dudes that I know were inside there. You know, one of the hardest Jumas I heard was in San Quentin. All right, so it would make all these imams shameful. You know? So, and then
For
you know
those
you got
listening, Juma is like a sermon, like a church sermon. Sorry, go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then, you know, in there, you got to be disciplined. You have to be on a program. Otherwise, you go Majnun, you'll go crazy.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why a lot of brothers turn to Islam in there, because of the structure and the discipline. You know, your day is governed by Salah. You know, you got Ramadan, you got Juma, you know, in the feds, we had our own food, halal food, you know, and then they would wake up earlier than everybody else.
For Salah.
For Salah and during Ramadan, so we could have the sahur. So, you know, there's a lot of benefits in being on the deen. But it was all, like I said, it was a learning experience, and, you know, it tests you, you know, you get tested.
Yeah. But you was in, okay, yeah. So you ended up meeting people in there who, because anybody who just, you know, walks the straight line and is afraid to, you know, who does everything by the check, you know, if the idea of them going to federal prison is like they'll consider suicide, you know. They think that there's monsters in there and people who are going to do all type of things to you and things like that. But, you know, for the average person, if you have your mind together and things like that and you go in there, pretty much you're going to be all right. Did you meet people in there who were honorable and who were intelligent? I think there was a couple, like some Wall Street guys who were in there too and things like that, wasn't there? Maybe a banker guy.
Well, yeah, there was a variety. I was actually in there with that dude that they caught in Afghanistan.
Oh yeah, the white Taliban, Lynn Walker.
Taliban, he was in there. There was some old Black Panthers in there.
That sounds like Gitmo. All right.
Yeah, that's what I thought I was at first. Even the brother that just the founder of Death Row.
Harry O?
Yeah, he's a Muslim. His name, I believe, is Malik, but he was in Juma, you know. So it's a variety of people in there, but you basically you have to have your mind right. And usually when you first come in, they ask you what car you're in. Are you in the Crip car? Are you in the Blood car? Are you in the Bay Area? You know, so, you know, I was in the best car, the Muslim car. So as soon as I said that, brothers was coming out, giving me all type of stuff, food, you know, everything, you know, everything. You know, hygiene, I was covered, you know, the whole way through. So it just depends where your mind is at, you know, and how strong you are. It's definitely a test on your willpower. And you know, because sometimes days in there seem like years, you know, but other times days go by like seconds. It just depends, you know, where your mind is at.
Where your mind's at. Interesting. That's real. So how do you rise from the ashes of dealing with dealing with the consequences of that? So because again, the average person says, okay, now when you get out, how do you reinsert yourself back into the world? Or is it because that you've always been an entrepreneur, so it wasn't really a, you know, like some people are like, I have to get a job now I can't work, what am I going to do? You know, boom, you know, so how how did you navigate that, you know, mentally? Because the reason why I'm asking, because I personally, you know, I remember the years you were gone, and I remember you coming back, and I never saw a dip in dignity or in energy or in vibe. Like, it's like you never, similar to Zero, like he went to the army, then when he came back, he was still him, you know, he didn't really change. So how were you able to navigate that in your mind and reinsert yourself back into society?
Well, first I got to give honors to my Moorish brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? Because without my brotherhood and the sisters too, right, I wouldn't have had that support.
True.
I went in already in, like you said, an entrepreneur state of mind. So, you know, the work thing was no big thing for me. I just knew I had to reassert myself, be creative, come up with new products, look for other avenues. You know, real estate opened up for me. So I was able to, you know, get some land and do some things like that. So for me, it was difficult. It's difficult for anybody to go from a 10 by 10 cell, you know, your everyday living, back into an open society, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have the support and you don't have, you know, that deen, that discipline, even if it's not Islamic, as long as you have some type of schedule and discipline in your life, you can make it through. You know, the spiritual aspect can enhance you even more. I know one of the things that kept me sane in there was for me to pick up and just start reading the Quran. No matter what the day was like, when I picked up the Quran and just sat up on my bunk, everything changed. You know, it just took me to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So it was just a blessing that I had that information and the guidance before I was there. But even in there, I learned, I stayed in the library. You know, they had a good library with a lot of Islamic books. So I stayed in there in the chapel on all my free time if I wasn't on the yard. I didn't get caught up in the madness, you know.
Right, right, right.
Mm-hmm.
So in my, you know, from the time I joined the Ummah and have been part of the community, one thing I know that's different about us than when I talk to other people and other Muslims is the schools of thought, right? Most people are within one particular school of thought, whereas in my learning and training, I learned, you know, we went through, you know, Ahlul Bayt, Shia, we went through Sunni, we went through Sufi, as well as Ahmadiyya, right? It's Ahmadiyya movement, right? And a few other, you know, Bayfal and like different. So just what would you, can you say something, you know, kind of, you know, towards wrapping toward the end of this, can you say something that, like, what is it, like, personally, what I can say is, again, it gave me the knowledge to enable me to navigate around, you know, the world,
Yeah.
different situations, you know, even, you know, I'm like, oh, I was in a Uber the other day, and I seen a guy had a picture of Sai Baba, you know, but the old Sai Baba, the first one, the Muslim one, not the second Sai Baba in the orange with the big afro, who be on the incense and stuff. So I said, oh, Sai Baba, you know, oh, I'm low, okay, you are you Muslim too? He's like, well, no, he's like, but, you know, so we were built. But I'm just saying, I wouldn't have known all of this. I wouldn't have known about the Ahmadiyya movement or any of these things if it wasn't for the Sheikh, if it wasn't for you, Ali, you know, this Ummah. So how did we end up studying all those different forms of Islam instead of just sticking in one square like everybody else, you know, does? No diss.
Well, I think it comes from the Sheikh. The Sheikh taught us to have an open mind. He encouraged us to study all forms of of Islam. You know, we studied the Nation of Islam information. We studied from WD's information.
5% of information. Yeah.
Yeah, 5%. I remember in the early days of the Jamaat, we be tested on how to make Sunni Salat, how to make Shia Salat. You know, we were well rounded, and we would go to different masjids. Still to this day, you know, any Muslim Jamaat can go to any masjid in the Bay Area. You know what I'm saying? And get the love. So in the end, we're all Muslims. You know, with the divisions that they bring up is just to cause confusion. We follow the Quran. Each culture is going to have a little different style. And that's all right, because look at Allah's universe, Allah's nature, everything is different here. You got different types of birds, different types of fish, but they all, you know, swim in the ocean, and they all fly the tree. You know what I'm saying? So we can't be tripping off the differences. That's really a blessing from Allah, you know. Islam in West Africa is different from Islam in Saudi Arabia, because Islam in West Africa incorporated some of the West African culture.
Right.
And the same for us here, or in North America, we have maroon roots. You know, that's why that combination of Long Walker and the Sheikh was so beautiful, because that brought in both sides. This was my indigenous culture, and I was able to infuse it into an Islamic identity without losing myself, because, you know, once you lose yourself, there's racism in Islam. You'll be a second-class citizen in Islam if you just think, you know, everything is cool. Everybody claim that nationality, but the first thing you know, they raising funds to send back home. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we just be mindful. This is our caliph, so we got to make sure that we take care of our caliph. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we have to be in tune with our caliph, because we got different needs than other Muslims have. You know, we were stripped of both our religion and nationality. That's what made us 3/5. So that's what Noble Drew Ali brought, was those missing 2/5, religion and nationality. We didn't have those. We followed the European terms, Negro, black, colored, all that. And then we started following the white Christianity, worshiping a white idol, which brought us out of our power. Our power rests with Allah, you see. And through Allah, Allah's made us of this earth, and this is the power that he brings us, you see. And as soon as we get in tune with both of those, inshallah, anything is possible. And then I think if we concentrated on that, we wouldn't have as many divisions that we have now. If we would look at Islam as a beautiful guideline, you know, instead of arguing over, okay, you stepped in here with your left foot, or you stepped out with your right foot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. Let's deal with the spirit of Islam, the unity and the love, and, you know, inshallah, we'll be successful.
Right. You know, they do say that's the reason that Isa, alayhi salam, or Jesus, came to the lost sheep of Israel, because he told them, you've lost the you're all fit. You've lost the spirituality of the word. You're just going physical with it. You think you're reading everything literally. You think it's physical. You've lost the spirit. And I think that has also happened with Islam, as far as in the mainstream. Like, people are more concerned with, like you said, the physical look of things or the physical actions, as opposed to the universal teachings that really help you get out of this shell and this body and this anger and want for physical things and all of this stuff like that. It's universal, and it's a beautiful thing. It's not a skeleton or a thing that you have to be like, oh, I'm a Muslim now, so I can't do anything. Like, that's not what it is, you know? And I think it's a shame that some people aren't, you know, are stuck and can't progress, you know? Because, hey, I'll be ready to jump through a Stargate, like whatever. I'm open. I know it's all out there. You know what I mean? So, and I'm waiting for the ship to come and all of that. So, you know, or I know it's already come.
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
You know. But yeah, man. And so I know that you're out there in Hawaii and you're gathering a lot of things. You have a retreat that, first of all, ideally, who are the type of people that you would like to come to your retreat?
Well, it's mainly for our Jamaat, but it's open for any conscious people, spiritual people who want to reconnect, rejuvenate. You know, just like at Moab, if you come, you put in some work, you know, and that binds you to the land, you know.
Yeah.
So we're trying to grow organic fruits and different things like that. And, you know, we open to any positive spiritual people.
That's a beautiful thing, man. All right. And then how can people contact you? And also if somebody wants to donate to this, to the retreats, people who are out there who might be listening, who might say, I don't know if I can make it, but I really respect and want to support what this brother is building and who he is. How can they donate to you?
Well, we have a GoFundMe. It's under Aloha Moorish Retreat Center.
Aloha Moorish Retreat Center.
Yeah, I'll leave the link at the bottom when we post this.
Yeah.
And also, we on Facebook and Instagram.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Mo. My battery might give out, so I'll probably close out before we just blank out.
Yeah, we'll close out right now. Much appreciated, man. It's been an honor to speak to you. And again, I really think that we're collecting history here. So it's been my pleasure, man. And I hope to see you out there soon. I'm coming. Inshallah.
Yeah.
If anybody want to buy my ticket, you can donate to my ticket. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that, Mo. And I have everything waiting for you. A smoothie, some mango tango. Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, bro. All right, man. See you soon. God bless. Peace.
All right. Islam.
Islam, more. Islam.
Islam.
Yes. Yes.